What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back checking out some of the team announcements for the games going on in the July internationals. This one, Wallabies versus Wales, game 2. If you've missed the Springboks Ireland preview that's already up on the channel, I'm feeling pretty under the weather today. Standing up is a little bit rough with making me feel dizzy, so we're sat down. We've got a whole new layout, but we're still going to go through the team sheets and give some thoughts, some opinions, all that good stuff. But if my natural exuberance is feeling a little bit underwhelming today, that is why. That's why we've got a bit of a change to the general look and setup for these videos. Last week then, Wallabies took this one 25 points to 16, and in all honesty, should have been more. Should have been more, shouldn't it? It should have been, I think, a real monster score. Lolasio's kicking pretty under par for an international level kicker. I think you could stick like 9 points on from him. They had a great crossfield kick. Didn't quite get into the hands of Andrew Kellaway. On a different day, I think that's another try. I think you could probably happily add about 15 points onto that Wallaby score from the last game. I thought the Wallabies looked really solid for a brand new team coming in together. When I did the preview video last week, I had a lot of hope and a lot of faith in this Wales team. I expected some new players coming in. They were going to try some new stuff. Ben Thomas at 10. Oh, it's going to be very exciting. And overall, it was pretty underwhelming from a Wales standpoint. Wallabies came in 7 debutants into that game. And yeah, it looked, it's not perfect. It looked rusty. There was issues and some team cohesion things going wrong for them. But it's game one. It's game one under the new coach. I was really looking forward to see what Joe Schmidt was going to do with this Australia team, because back when Dave Rennie had Australia and they were getting slammed in the media, even though they had 40 injuries, I thought Australia was still doing really well. Eddie Jones came and ripped up the team sheet, and I was like, I think you've just killed off Australia here. That is exactly what happened. Joe Schmidt's come in. Totally new style team. Let's do it in a different way. And I personally am liking the way Australia looks like they could be heading for, and took that game last week pretty convincingly. Moving on to this week then. Team sheets coming in. Starting out in the front row then. James Slipper, Matt Vessler, Taliao Tupo. This is the same front row we got to see last week. James Slipper going in this week as captain. Liam Wright just picked up an injury, which has unfortunately ruled him out, because we only got to see him for that one game last week to make his captaincy. But gone now, James Slipper, experienced player, a lot of caps under his belt, so no wonder that he's going to go in there as the starting captain. In the lock department, Jeremy Williams going back in alongside Salakai Lotto, who I think they could maybe look to punish the Wales line out a bit more. The Wales throwing last week was certainly going to be an issue, and I'm not sure how quickly they're going to turn it around for this one. If I was that Australian team, Jerry Williams came and made his debut last week, maybe you're trying to just edge yourself into the game a little bit. I think this week, just punish the line out. In fact, I would do kind of like what we got to see with the Springboks back in the World Cup, where they just throw the front man up at every lineup. I would do that if I was Australia. I would make Dewi Lake work for that line out like no tomorrow. Every single line out, whoever's in the front pod gets in the air. Make them throw over the top of you. Put huge pressure on that Wales line out. I think it's certainly an area they can look to disrupt. In the back row then, Charlie Cale comes in the number 8 shirt. Rob Valentini sliding into flanker with Liam Wright out, and Fraser McWright still holding out in his 7 shirt. In the halfback partnership, Jay Gordon and Noah Lolosio. Now, Jay Gordon, he got the nod ahead of Tate McDermott last week, and I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to see how this pays off. I thought Jay Gordon was good. I thought the kicking game out from the box kicks and stuff, I thought he had some superb kicks in terms of finding distance with very little angle to work with on some of those exit clearances. So, you know what, I'm happy to see him starting again. Nick White is back in. A veteran scrum half is back in the team. He's on the bench. I'm glad to see Jake Gordon starting, and I'd like to see him spend a good time on the pitch as well for this one. Noah Lolosio, unfortunately, underwhelming for me. The kicking game towards post certainly could have just put nails in that coffin of that game last week, and certainly didn't. It's sort of open play as well. I wasn't blown away with. He's still getting the look at 10 here. Ben Donaldson's come in, who I think was Eddie Jones also tried him out with 10 right when Carter Gordon wasn't particularly doing too well. So Noah Lolosio, we'll see how he gets on in this one. That might be the one sort of chink that I took away from the game last week. In the centre partnership, Hunter Paisami going back in alongside of Josh Fluke, who was a name I was trying to keep an eye out for last week, and don't really felt like I heard a lot from him, unless I just happened to miss all those points. I was really trying to keep an eye out for him making his debut. But I don't really remember too much of making a huge impact into that game. A couple of the Australian backs not quite playing the style I thought they were going to play. I thought they were going to do the really aggressive running, attacking rugby. And out of all the backs, Tom Wright was the main guy I felt like was actually living up to that. Dalgunu's still going to go in on the left wing. Andrew Callaway on the right wing. And Tom Wright, like I said, in that fullback shirt, who, again, I thought impressive. Nice to see him back in. Eddie Jones just sort of cut him. He was just like, Tom Wright's not in this team. And he came back in. He's made a huge impact, got a great try last week off of a Wales poor decision exit clearance kick. So nice to see him still retaining in that fullback shirt. Replacements then coming in. Josh Nasser, a new name for me, who I've noticed on the graphic, it actually says the star is to denote a potential debutant. So they might not play him. That would be harsh, but I feel like he'll probably get a run out in that second half. Alongside him then, Isaac Kalia and Alan Alatoa going to be going in there to replace that front row at some point in that second half. Angus Blythe and Langy Gleeson going to be the forwards coming on in that second half, and the replacement backs. Nick White, Ben Donaldson, and Dylan Pesh, who, again, another name I was trying to keep an eye out for, but I don't think anything particularly to blow me away. Tom Liner came on last week, and I didn't realise Tom Liner is the brother of Lewis Liner, who plays over in Italy. And I remember when I read his name for the first time on an Italian team sheet, saying, "Oh, he's Australian Italian," and he went for the Italian one. Tom Liner's over there, not in this game this week. It's looking like a higher capped Australia team. Maybe they were a little bit unhappy with just how rusty the connection was between some of the players. A lot of new debutants last week. To maybe just had a few issues going on that I expected from a low cap team. They've added in some bigger names, but they've got a cohesive starting 15, which is nice to see. It's just that bench has been reinforced a bit. They just want to seal out that game later on. I think personally that's a good move. On to Wales then. Oh boy, did I have a lot of complaints about this Wales team last week. I was really not impressed with decision making, and also just some of the players going on. Starting in this front row. Gareth Thomas, Dewi Lake, Archie Griffin. Dewi Lake, after all the props I gave him in the preview video last week, just sort of fell apart in terms of the throwing in, the scrummaging really didn't live up to what I was expecting them to do. The forward pack looked like they were struggling about halfway through that game. I was thinking this Wales team looks like they're going to begin to get under the pump now for the scrum, and yet Gatland kept them on, which I also thought was a really weird decision, and yet somehow it felt like they got better as the game went on. Archie Griffin last week played 74 minutes, which is kind of outrageous for a tight head prop. I felt like he struggled at the start of the game, but sort of grew into it. Dewi Lake, the one redeeming factor for me from last week was he's one of the only ball carriers in this Wales team that was getting over the gain line. Everyone else was just running into a wall of gold and getting smashed backwards. Some of the stats for dominant tackles coming in from Australia last week was monstrous. I'm really hoping to see some other players step up in the ball carrying for this game, because if you're just not going to get through that Australian defensive line by carrying it hard, then you've got to try something else. You just can't keep running at a brick wall and getting pushed backwards. In the lock department, Christ Schwinzer and David Jenkins going in there. Schwinzer last week I actually thought was doing well in terms of the breakdown. It was, again, another player who was sort of stepping up. There was only a few of them that really stood out for me in the breakdown. I thought he was showing some busy work. In the back row, huge blow for Wales. Aaron Wainwright is gone. And won't be coming back this summer, which is an enormous shame. Alongside Dewi Lake, he was the only one for me that was making meters, making ground, and it really felt like was doing a lot with the ball. To lose him is a big blow. Tame Plumtree's going to switch to the 8 shirt. James Bothan going in at flanker alongside Tommy Raffel. I'm going to need those boys to step up for me in terms of that back row, because you can't just keep running at the gold wall and not get anywhere. Aaron Wainwright, again, for me, was the shining star in that Wales team last week. Such a big blow to have lost. In the backs then, Bevan goes back in alongside Ben Thomas and this halfback partnership. Mason Grady and Owen Watkin retaining that centre partnership, and Mason Grady, I still don't see as the 12. I don't know what the long-term plan is. I still don't see him in that 12 shirt. Put him out on the wing. I would really like to see Costello and Ben Thomas play together in a 10-12 and just have a totally different dynamic. Mason Grady's he's just getting off the line far too quick. He's so forward pressing defensively, which if you're out on the wing and you're sort of doing that sort of dogleg defense, and you're sort of swooping around out on the wing, you're basically shutting the team down. When you do it in the center, all that happens is you run forwards, no one else is with you, and you leave a massive hole behind you, and people just run through the gap. And, you know, that's something that needs to be worked on either defensively or you've got to be looking at a different centre for me there. The back three's had a bit of a bolster, though. Cam Winnett comes in at the fullback shirt, Liam Williams sliding out to that right wing, and Rio Dyer on the left wing. I thought Liam Williams, again, doing well under the high balls. Hathaway, probably not the debut he would have wanted. Kicking seems to be a big part of his game. He was always looking to kick and everything. He could not carry the ball forward without looking to kick. And leading up to that Tom Wright try, just an aimless exit kick that went nowhere, didn't find touch, didn't find anyone, just found the arms of Lolacia, I can't even remember who called it, and then he just get out to Tom Wright, big counter-attacking run, and you know, off they go. You can't just do aimless kicks. The Australian backline is full of really aggressive attackers. You can't just kick them the ball. It's just a ridiculous move. So Cam Winnett coming back in there now to maybe hold on that fullback shirt. Liam Williams a bit more experienced, you know, in terms of those caps to just hold out that right wing. Also, I think aerial battle. I think unfortunately again Wales are going to be looking at the kicking battle. You've got Cam Winnett and Liam Williams now in that backfield to do the high ball, the aerial competition. I think they're just going to be looking for a lot of kicking all day again. And then in terms of the replacements, Evan Lloyd, Kemsley Matthias, and Harry O'Connor maybe coming on. Maybe he will. I don't know. 74 minutes last week. Harry O'Connor get any game time. Kemsley Matthias. Actually, I thought played quite well in the general sort of open play area. I thought he was doing well at the breakdown. I thought he was having some good tackles. So I'm nice to see there was some impact from the bench. Alongside them with the forwards, then Corey Hill, Mackenzie Martin coming on, and then those replacement backs, Kieran Hardy, Sam Costello, and Nick Tompkins. And Nick Tompkins, again, you know, so many teams now, you look for that impact from the bench. Nick Tompkins came on, cold onto the pitch. Tom Wright just ran at him and just ran past him and just missing a tackle. Really poor in that centre area, and it just opened the gates up. That centre area for Wales, I think, is a problem. And really needs to be addressed for this game. I have seen there was like an interview put out where I think it was Watkin has said basically like this is like a must-win game for Wales. They really want to try and establish themselves. In all honesty, I don't know how they're going to turn that around. I was so surprised by how well the Australian team played, considering the amount of debutants coming in. There's so much talk around this Wales team, and they're on the rebuild, and there's new players and, you know, youngsters coming through. But they're at like 8 games losing in a row now, and they've not really looked like they're going to turn that round too much. Australia came in, 5 days prep time, 7 debutants, Joe Schmidt's running the show, and they look good. They look good. They looked like they knew what they wanted to do. They looked like they had a game plan. They looked like they had the sort of impact. They just need more time with each other. And I think this Australian team will work well. I think this does wonders for the Australian team to just have basically the same starting 15, have more team cohesion. They've had more time to train now. Wales have got to do a big turnaround for this game. And I really don't know if I see them doing it without a big change in game plan, but it just doesn't feel like there's a game plan change coming. It's a lot of kicking, a lot of just trying to seal that game out. And I'm wondering whether the Wallabies attacking players are going to be too much to deal with. In terms of a scoreline prediction, what do we expect from this game? I'm looking at that Australian team, and I think they deserve more points last week. I don't think the changes coming in for Wales this week are going to be making things better. I think losing Aaron Wainwright's a big blow. The fact that they've still kept some of those players out of position again, and I didn't see it last week working for me. I think more time with the team for Australia. I'm going to go Australia, and I think they'll be more set than they were last week. I'm expecting Lolacia to do better in terms of a kicking game. I expect more threes going over. I'm going to say Australia to take this one. I'm going to go a bit more. I'm going to say 12. I'm going to go kind of high for Australia. I'm expecting a lot from them. Wales would have to do something very, very impressive to turn this round in the last week. I think Joe Schmidt knows it's what a great little tour for them this would be to just come in, brand new team, and get a double win over Wales when they had the whole Six Nations as prep as well, time together with players and stuff. I think this would be a great win for the Australian team. I think they'll be just throwing the kitchen sink at this game. But that's what I have to say, guys. Let me know down in the comments who you think is going to win this game. Let me know your score predictions down in the comment section as well, because I enjoy having to read through them. And then, of course, make sure you're getting it all up on the Superbru as well. I'll see you all next time, guys. Bye-bye.